Actually, I got a question for Ross and Michael because both of you got a similar concept, but named differently. I was wondering if there were some similarities here. Breaking rapport and pattern interrupt, are they the same thing?
So I think the important term is pattern interrupt, just because break and rapport, I know what it means, but a lot of people get very confused. And the thing is, you have to think about a woman's main existence, which is she is the prize. Men come up to her. Men are always offering her attention, free attention. They're always offering her sex, all kinds of stuff. So her normal mode of thinking is she's the prize. Every guy that she talks to wants her. And so when you break that rapport or you do a pattern interrupt, then that's something that she's not used to. So for me, I go up to beautiful women. I'm like, "What up, bro?" Like they're not used to that. They're used to men showing massive levels of intent off the rip. And for me, I just believe that that shows lower status. So I make them work for my intent, which is also a break in rapport. And then lastly, they show up to events with like 20, 30 girls, which is another break in rapport. It's a pattern interrupt. They're not used to seeing that. So instead of me competing for her attention, she is competing with other women for my attention. And that's why I would say it's a pattern interrupt or break in rapport.
So for me, pattern interrupts are a tool to create suggestibility. I got this from Milton Erickson, who I think was the grandfather of neurolinguistic programming. Erickson frequently used pattern interrupts to create states of suggestibility. So when you interrupt someone's pattern, you create hyperfocus and suggestibility. Now, my message to everyone watching, whether it's the context of seduction or sales or anything else, the currency of seduction, influence, persuasion, sales is focus. So for me, anything that interrupts a pattern creates intense focus and suggestibility. And from there, if you have the skill set, you can move people to different states of consciousness. And as we know, people make decisions and drive their behavior from their states of consciousness. But just for an example, as a pattern interrupt, if a woman says, "Give me your number," she's expecting the following responses. She's expecting the guy to say, "Okay, here it is," or to argue with her, or to beg or plead. So I interrupt the pattern. I say, "No, Debbie, why would I put the burden of making sure we get to communicate again on your shoulders? Isn't that my job as the man?" Now, that's a complete reframe of the situation, gets a laugh, and resets the entire conversation. Now, that's not going to necessarily get me laid, but it gets me back in the game. So it's just one small example. I use pattern interrupts frequently in my therapeutic hypnosis practice. It's just a way for me to generate suggestibility. That's all I'm trying to do. And suggestibility is a step towards generating compliance.
I see. Interesting. Do any of your other guys have any thoughts on those things?
I think pattern interrupts happen all the time. I exercise them, but without the intent on doing so. Like with this conscious choice of saying, "Okay, I'm listening to what she's saying, and I'm going to strategically say something that creates this sort of thing." I think that just your being in itself can create a pattern interrupt. Simply just by sticking to whatever it is you are, having a strong set of codes, principles, and rules will prevent you from ever falling into her frame, which it just ends up being a pattern interrupt.
So I take a slightly different viewpoint because, both myself and my clientele are not conventionally attractive. We don't really fit the Anglo-centric beauty standard. So for us, the heuristic of a lot of American women is they see a short Asian guy, looks totally international, complete fob, immigrant. That's the pattern that they have of us, right? That we're a foreigner, immigrant. And so I'll have like some 5 foot nothing Asian guy, heavy accent, right? Go up to a girl and go like, "You are fucking beautiful." And that heavy accent and like the cuss word will make her reevaluate him and break the norm of like possibly what she's drawing from her like dating iCloud. Because if the Asian guy looks like a stereotype, walks like a stereotype, talks like a stereotype, how is he going to be treated like a stereotype? So in that regards, I'm trying to break her, I guess, pattern of kind of thin slicing someone that looks like a foreigner.
Interesting. Alrighty, moving on to the next one.
Hey,
How important? Oh yeah, go ahead.
real quick. I probably have probably 300 Indian clients, and then maybe like Asian clients, probably two or one or 200. And I'll tell you, the thing is, what JT is saying is correct. It's the trope that you have to fight against. And so I tell some of my Indian clients who just throughout their whole life have just never looked athletic to look more athletic, to be louder. To the other thing is, this is getting really deep, but there's a way you break rapport with the way you speak. And when you get around really attractive women, does your voice go like this? Hey guys, what's going on? What are you guys doing? Does your voice crack? And one of the problems is with the traditional Indian accent, there's these up and down pitches that happen in the middle of sentences that make sense if you're in an Indian context, but when you're talking to American women, they sound like you're seeking rapport, which is a problem. And so there's these little things that I try to have my guys do that make it so that you don't fit the trope of like what JT is saying. There's a trope that they have. Basically, the Indian guy is going to, ask for Bob's and Vagine, et cetera, et cetera. The Asian guy is going to do this. He's going to be timid, et cetera. And my clients they need to have a deep voice, speak extremely loud to break that trope. That's the main thing that I recommend people do. So yeah, I mean, I totally agree with that. Like you can't have them, or 80 women find 80% of men to be unattractive. This is according to the OkCupid survey. Several different dating app surveys show this. So a woman's equilibrium is that you're not good enough for her. So you have to break that trope in order for you to get her attention.